Let's discuss this very special process called the reversible process. So a reversible process is such processes which have always this thing going on. So if we have a pressure system in here, we have a piston in which the pressure inside the system is P system indicated here, and there is an applied force. So you want to change from, you are applying an external force on the piston, okay? So if you want to change from, say, the applied pressure was 10 atmosphere and you want to change it from 10 to 100. So to do that, from changing from 10 atmosphere to 100 atmosphere, you have to constantly increase the pressure from the outside. Now, you want to increase the pressure, but you increase in such a manner that the P of the system is always nearly equal to the P of the applied. It's very, very close to the applied. So say the pressure of the internal system was 10 atmosphere and your external process becomes, you want to increase the pressure, so you apply a pressure of 10.000001, right, atmosphere. It's very close to the system, and doing that you apply that pressure and then try and reach an equilibrium between the two. So it's always very close, and then you reach an intermediate state and that reaches an equilibrium. Doing that from 10, you are trying to move to 100 atmospheres. So there will be so many small steps in which you are going to increase, right? Because one of these steps is 10.000001 or something like that. So in order to keep this, in order to keep these systems close and to keep these systems in equilibrium, you have to change in infinite steps. It has to be infinitely slow process, right? And that's why we are calling it quasi-static. It's almost static, right? How do you do that? You do it in infinitely small number of steps, right? And there should not be any dissipation like effect. Like there should be no energy loss in the system. There should be no friction, no viscosity losses, say electrical conductivity, resistance losses should not be there. Additionally, there should not be any magnetic hysteresis losses and things like that. So there should be none of these things going on. It has to be like infinitely slow. So all these points out to a process which is hypothetical. So a reversible process is a hypothetical process in which all the changes in the system and the surrounding can be reversed back if we change the direction of the process. Now, without doing any changes without producing any changes in the system and the surrounding. Now, doing this is impossible, but this is an important concept in thermodynamics, which is hypothetical, but it's an important concept, like the reversible process. We will not exactly reach this, but there will be certain processes that will be close to this kind of process, right? Okay. Now, there's a difference between the reversible process that we are discussing it here and in the chemical equilibrium, where there's a forward process and there's a backward process, which is called the reverse. That's a different thing. In here, we are discussing about a reversible process. It's not a reaction. Okay, so say you have a state A in which you have a P, V and T, that's why you call it a state, and you change from state A to state B. Now, you can change from state A to state B in any number of ways, but there's one particular way of changing, there's one particular process which takes the system from A to B, and that typical system, if this follows all these rules, that type of process is called a reversible process. It's not a reaction, so please understand that a reversible reaction is a different thing than a reversible process. Okay, so moving on to a better concept, to a more applicable concept to our natural world, is a constant pressure process. Why constant pressure process is such an important thing? Because our Earth, on the atmosphere, most of the processes that we see are constant pressure. Even if we have an environmental change, like you have a cyclone or things like that, the amount of pressure changes in the atmosphere are extremely low. Right, so it's maybe 1% or even less than that. So it's important to understand when the pressures are constant. So what if you have a constant pressure processes? Now, it will simplify things, right? Like you have one variable which is almost always constant. So why not simplify these things? Okay, so let's do it. So we do not have a change in pressure, which is called an isobaric process. Iso means same, and baric like comes from the bar, which is the unit of pressure. So isobaric process is delta P is equal to 0. Now let's have a system in which you have an exhaust pipe which has a P and a V1 and is going from P and V1 to a P and V2, and the pressure is remaining constant. There's a change in volume. Now if we want to understand what's the amount of work done in this process, we just integrate delta W, right? From from state 1 to state 2, we do a PdV. This is work, PdV, right? Now, since pressure is constant, we bring it outside this integral sign and integrate from 1 to 2, the delta V. This gives us V2 minus V1, right? So V2 minus V1. So dV when integrated gives you V, and V2 minus V1, right? So it's like a definite integral. So you get a PV2 minus V1, right? So this V2 minus V1 is just delta V, and this is the concept of a constant pressure process. Work done in a constant pressure process is P delta V. Okay, so now we know the work done. Now let's calculate what is the difference in the delta E. Okay, so what the delta E is differentiation of dE like this, dE integrated from 1 to 2, which gives us the value of E2 minus E1. It's really simple, like dE, when you integrate dE, you get E, and this is a definite integral, so E2 minus the E1, E final minus the E initial, E2 minus E1. And from the first law of thermodynamics, we know that dE is equal to del Q minus del W. This has been established earlier, okay? Now, so dE integrated here gave us E2 minus E1, which is equal to dQ minus dW. So here we get on the left hand side E2 minus E1, and on the right hand side we have del Q minus del W. Now, this del Q is written here as QP. Why? Because this is just we are writing the amount of heat exchanged in the constant pressure process as QP, not as del Q, like as QP. And we have already established like del W has been integrated from process 1 to 2 as P delta V here, okay? So this delta W becomes P delta V, which is V2 minus V1. On the left hand side, dE when integrated from 1 to 2 gives us E2 minus E1, and del Q gives us a QP. Now, if we rearrange this, we see here that on the right hand side we have a minus PV2. When you bring the minus PV2 from the right hand side of the equation to the left hand side, it becomes a positive PV2, okay? Now, on the left hand side, we have a minus E1. Now, we have taken a minus common from this bracket, so essentially this E1 is a minus E1, and we get this positive. So this negative and negative becomes a positive. So on the right hand side, we have a positive PV1. This positive PV1, which when this comes to the left hand side becomes negative PV1, which is written as this. Now you can see we can club these two. So E2 plus PV2 minus E1 plus PV1 gives QP, which is the heat exchange at that constant pressure, right? Now we can see that this is forming some kind of a function like E plus PV2, like E2 plus PV2 and E1 plus PV1. Now, clubbing this, we are getting a sense that these two are forming some kind of a general function, right? So E plus PV, right? So we club these two things, E plus PV, and call this a new function called the H, which is the enthalpy, right? So this is the constant, at constant pressure, we form this like a function, enthalpy, which is essentially E plus PV, right? Now, what do we do with this E plus PV? Why is this important? Let's move ahead and see. Now, this has been carried over from the previous. So this is E2 plus PV2 minus E1 plus PV1. This is basically, so E plus PV is forming a function called the H. So this is basically H2, right? This is H2 and this is H1. So this is basically becoming H2 minus H1, which is basically delta H, like the change in the enthalpy, the delta H, H2 minus H1, which is equal to what? The change which is equal to the heat exchange at that constant pressure. So this is basically enthalpy. Why did we introduce the concept of enthalpy? Because we can simplify things. So things not always complicated. So our motive here is to simplify things. How do you simplify? So at constant pressure, we see that like these two different functions are like this is forming a cluster. Now we simplified calling this cluster as H, called the enthalpy, and we found this equation. This will be very important in the lectures to come. So keep in mind that at a constant pressure, this E plus PV forms a value which has been simplified as the enthalpy, and this change in enthalpy, the delta is the change in enthalpy, is essentially equal to the change is equal to the heat exchange at that constant pressure. Okay.